Today, I am joined by my beautiful, beautiful guest, Robin S. Thorne. Robin is the amazing founder and CEO, all the C's, of CTI Environmental, based in Long Beach, California. So now one of my interviewees is here with me on my time zone in my neck of the woods. So I'm so excited to introduce you all to the amazing Robin Thorne. Robin, thank you for joining us, my friend. Thank you. I'm so happy to have you here.
Well, I'm excited to be here. I'm honored because I had a chance to check out some of the other guests, and I'm just honored to be amongst such leaders and just really appreciate what you do. I'm just highlighting women leaders, letting us know that we have a voice and that we can use it, and creating a safe space to do so. So I appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you, Robin. And it's an honor to have you here. And I'm excited for, you are you're an extremely successful woman. Like let's just call it what it is, what you've created, what you continue to create and expand on and invite others into this level of success as well. And sometimes people will see the glory, but they don't know the story, right? And they see this piece like, I want that, but there are levels to this, right? There's a rhythm, there's a level of sacrifice, there's a level of ownership, there's a level of soloness sometimes in this journey. And so today, we're going to talk about, Robin, like what you're saying, as a woman who advocates for non-traditional careers, even in your for-profit and your nonprofit, and just the success principles that have gotten you here. So can you just share with our audience a little bit about yourself, whatever you feel compelled or desire to share?
Absolutely. I like to talk about what it is that I do.
Mm-hmm. That's a reminder. Let me turn my phone off.
Well, that is actually somebody else's phone.
Ah, your
And
mom.
yeah, it's my mom's phone. She's in the other room. So do I grab it and take it to her or just leave it? It's
Let's
really
let it just
loud.
roll. We'll let it roll because here's the thing. We live real
Wow.
life. We live real life. We
Okay.
live real
I wanna
lives.
like push it over the edge. If I had a long stick, I would take and push it over the edge. Wow. That's okay.
Look, it's
All
complete.
right.
It's complete. So we listen. This is what happens. This is what happens in real life, in
Oh
business.
yeah.
There's things that are gonna ding, ding, ding for your attention, and we just have to stay the course,
Okay.
right?
All right. Yeah, it's very loud over here.
Okay, you want to
Okay.
go? You want to grab it really quickly? I want you to go grab it, so you're
I
not.
would,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna. Guess what? I can travel. Is that like bad to travel?
No,
Should I just
please
come on?
travel with
Yeah, I
travel
think I
with
wanna.
camera. So
So,
as Robin is traveling, I want to share with you, Robin is out on the East Coast with her mother. And that is the joy of just creating a business that allows a level of freedom for you and that allows a level of opportunity for you to do what you need to do and care for your
this
family,
went
spend
off.
time with your family, whatever is needed, just all of those things, right? Whatever is needed in that moment, you have the ability to do so. So I'm excited that Robin's able to do that. And so she is back with us now. So, Robin, as we were just talking about the level of freedom, right, that comes with creating opportunities for success, take the mic back again. What would you love to share about yourself?
Well, as Alicia said, I'm a Philly girl by heart. I've been here on the West Coast for 26 years, and when I talk to people and they say, "Oh, you're a native," no, I'll always be a Philly girl.
Yeah.
And I want to share that in the beginning. I'll just share that my story is one that I'm a testament that if you put one foot in front of the other on a consistent basis and
Mm,
not give up, you'll be successful.
mm. Share more, share more, share more.
Well,
Yeah.
I've had many obstacles that I've had to overcome in
Yeah.
life. I talk to people and they look at the success that I've had and they think, wow, even when I interact with folks and they expect something different, that's pretty consistent, they expect something
Mhm.
different. However, what keeps me grounded is the fact that I know all my success is a result of my faith and belief in God. Right? I
Mm,
know Nothing that I've done is because of this ability that I have. It's what he's blessed me with. And so
Yes.
I always remember that. And I always remember, my humble beginnings and the
Mm,
journey, not only my humble beginnings, but as well as the journey that I've been on,
yeah.
my journey to CEO and my
Yeah.
journey to success.
And I want to talk about that a little bit because you talk about the journey, right? And a lot of people will experience you in your present, but they may not have experienced you in your past. That's just common knowledge. That's what it is. Can you talk a little bit, Robin, about what are some of those, and let's just say two key things in your life that really happened to you, but it really happened for you. Can you talk about two things in your life that felt maybe at the time it happened to you, but as you reflect, as you, like you said, you sit back and you thank God for where he's brought you from? What are two maybe pivotal things that really happened as a blessing to you? Yeah.
Well, early in my childhood, I had a very stable childhood initially. And then my parents separated, divorced when I was 13, and it just disrupted my life.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, I went in different directions. I acted out. I mean, the whole family was in therapy because of my acting out. And
Mm-hmm.
what they told me was at 13 years old, when you really need stability in your life, my world was torn apart. And
Wow.
so that sent me on a downward spiral.
Wow.
And for the grace of God, I was able to come out of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just real. I think about that. And, some people say, oh, get over it. That was years ago. But we know that the things that happen to us in childhood are what shape us. Right.
Yes.
And I think that's why therapy and therapy is becoming more common. People are talking about it more often because people have to heal.
Yeah.
It's really important to heal and to
Yeah.
work through processes because we repeat the same patterns and don't
Right.
realize it, right?
Right.
And it's a blessing to have friends that you can talk to because you talk to the friends and they kind of like, well, didn't you go through this last year? Isn't this the same
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
And so a lot of those patterns are learned from the
Wow.
traumas that we experience in our lives.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is just even it, you're saying it, but you're not saying it, is the importance of having people around you that know you enough that can mirror things back to you in love, right? And bring it to your attention that, are you repeating it? Didn't you kind of go through this last year? And you're like, whoa, right? Like we need those caliber of people. Our circle matters. It's so
Right.
important that we take ownership and take intention in creating the circles that we walk in, because it's so important, as you're just reflecting on right now, Robin. So I'm hearing the first thing was very challenging for you was when your parents separated at the age of
Right.
13. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Correct. And then I'll skip a few years and
Okay.
more current, like later in life,
Mm-hmm.
upon my entrepreneurial journey. Well, even before the journey started, when I was fired from my job. So
Mm.
here I am, I'm
I've
a
been
chemical
fired before.
engineer.
How many of you have been fired? I've been fired. Let's out ourselves.
Yeah, so here I am, a chemical engineer. I moved to California after I graduated from college. This is my first job. Work through that one, and then I get my second job. I get a promotion, and then my company found out that I had started. My job found out I had started a business.
Yep.
I wasn't doing anything wrong. I made sure I stayed away from their clients because they were in the education sector.
Okay. Okay.
But they found out I had started a company and decided that I could not have a company and work for them, called me into the office, and it was over. So I was fired. And it was
Mm.
very interesting because I remember it was March 25th, 2011. And the reason why I remember is because I was thinking, oh no, I'm not going to have medical insurance at the end of the year, in the end of the month.
Right.
So, but that
Right.
was, it was very tough.
Yeah.
But I thought, oh, this is a sign because I probably would not have continued the business
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't having a lot of success with it.
Yeah, you weren't profitable.
So yeah, we weren't profitable. So I probably would have just said, oh, let me just work. So it
Yeah.
was a blessing at the time. I didn't
Mm.
realize it, but it was a blessing.
right? And it's like, how many things do we categorize as a negative, something negative, or oh my goodness, I can't believe that happened. And then later we have the opportunity to see how it was such a blessing for us
Yes.
as we are along this journey. So how long ago did you found CTI? What year did you found were you the founder of CTI? When did that become a thing?
2009.
Okay.
When I started the company, I actually had a partner.
Okay.
And so in 2009, I started the company with a partner. It was an idea. It was really a passive situation because I was working, right? And I was honoring my job, but there was an opportunity to do some work. There were some opportunities for woman-owned companies, for minority-owned companies. And so I partnered with someone. And the beautiful thing about that is we were a startup with a 20-year history because my partner had a 20-year history in the environmental space. Wow. And many lessons taken away from that, because when my job decided that I could not work for them and have a company, and we parted ways, my partner felt like, okay, I have her now right where I want her. You know,
interesting.
And I decided that I was not going to be that person who, I can't think of the word escapes me now.
That's okay.
Beholden to someone, right?
Okay.
And knowing the person's personality, because one of the things that we realize is that partnerships are like marriages, although they're relationships.
They are.
And so, I could have said, well, I really don't have a lot going on. I need to stay in this relationship, this business relationship. But I was so excited about what the future could possibly hold, right?
Right.
And I was not going to be beholden to anyone. And so we split. And it's so funny because you learn all these things going to workshops.
Yeah.
It was a C Corp at the time. And so we had stock. And so I wrote the letter and I paid him $100. I didn't have to pay him anything. And so went through that process and we split. And so I always say, well, I really want to start the CTI to be 2012 because that's when I was on my own.
On your own.
100%. But it was incorporated in 2009. So we use that date.
Okay.
But I have been on my own since 2012 as CEO of the firm.
And it's so interesting that you talk about partnership because my first company too, I was in partnership, and that is a real relationship. I mean, that is not to be entered into lightly. And I'm sure you have so much wisdom that could take hours to share with people about what to consider before moving into a partnership business relationship, because that is, as you're saying, Robin, very, very much like it is like a marriage, right? Because there's things that you do need to know. There's things you need to be able to get along with. There's things that everybody needs to be able to operate in their lane without trying to micromanage the other. All the fun things, right? Of partnership. So I did not know. See, so I learned something new today too, that you had started with a partner initially and then broke off eventually and moved into solo ownership and foundership of the firm. That is awesome. Right. I love that. So as you have like kind of moved to this level of success, one thing that many of you may not know, unless you know Robin, is that Robin, and so she's such my shero, Robin had a child in college. And she did not let any of that deter her. Robin kept moving forward. Her family was a huge help. They loved on her. They were like, oh no, you're not stopping going to school. You're going to go get that. And she was able to just finish out at Drexel, y'all. Like, that is no joke college. So can you talk a little bit about that time in your life, Robin, when you had that beautiful little boy and you were still navigating parenthood and college education. Can you talk about that and just the value of what support can do, a support system, right? It may not always be someone's family, it could be a friend, a loved one, but the value of a support system too.
It's interesting because when I was in Philly, we were riding through Drexel. My son said, we spent a lot of time at that library, and I was
Wow,
like,
he
wow, you
remembers.
remember that. You remember that.
Wow.
Yes. When I started school, my son was 2.
Okay. Okay.
And I actually started at Community College of Philadelphia. Um, I mentioned earlier that when my parents divorced, and I was a little lost. I was always a smart child. Always, I matter of fact, oh wow, this is coming up. Having these conversations with my nephews, they look at me and they see their aunt, the successful entrepreneur, but they don't know the story. And so I talked to them about how I barely made it out of high school because I didn't go to class. They're like, "What, you?" And I
Like
was like,
what,
"Yeah, I
Auntie?
used to spend my time on the blacktop." And I
Yeah.
remember going to a high school reunion and people were talking about how they played volleyball and they did all these things. I was like, and I was on the blacktop. And one of my classmates said, "With who?" And I'm like, "With her." It was one of my friends who was at the
Wow.
reunion. And so I talk about those times. And I guess it just I talk about one foot in front of the other on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
Or I talk about as long as you keep trying or starting, as long as you don't stop starting. Yeah, as long as you don't stop starting, you'll be successful. And so when I went to school, my son was 2 years old. I started community college and I went part-time, and then I transferred to Drexel. And I chose engineering because I wanted a career profession where there was a lot of math and science because I like math and science. And
Yes.
so engineering was the path I chose. I started with accounting, but then I found out that accounting is not math, it's numbers, but it is not math.
Very different.
So, so the engineering stood out for me. And so I pursued that. I put my head down, went to work. And like you said, had a very supportive family, very supportive friends. And I was just really determined. It was at a time in my life where I had a chance to start anew, right? It's not often that we get a chance to start over. So I had that opportunity to start anew and was just really determined.
I love that. And my mind was going while you were talking. There's a level of grit, gumption, resilience that you definitely had to walk in. Like you said, you were determined. And at no time did you say it was easy. At no time did you say, my professors just let me skate. At no time did you say it was Bob, Susan, Kristen's fault. Everything I'm hearing was Robin said, "Oh, I got this." Robin believed in herself. Robin tapped into the community of support that was around you, like you said, your family and your friends. I love that. And it really, I believe all those things have shaped who you are today, the mother you are, the friend you are, the sister you are, the aunt you are, right? All that, the leader you are in your organization. It gives you just a lens that's different as well and very unique in how you engage with individuals, because I've seen you work, I've seen you move. And so I love that. And I love that you bring all those principles, like your 15 and 15 that we're going to talk about here, how you bring those principles, how you've cultivated, created, and brought these principles that you don't just hold on to with yourself, but you also share, with those in your nonprofit that you serve, those that are around you, those like me that you share. So can you talk a little bit about how 15 and 15 was born and what it is?
Okay, and if I forget to answer that, remind me. But I'm looking at it, so I might not, because this is an important part of the story that I like to share.
Please.
While I was going to college, I was on public assistance, and so I was on public assistance for 8 years. So I always say that I used the system for what it was designed for, and that's like, as more of my story is being revealed, that's something that's not common. It's not something that I always share, but I think it's really important.
It is.
And when I think about all those
Mm.
things you talked about, the grit, the perseverance. It comes from my mother, because when my
Mm.
parents divorced, my mother initially worked for the railroad when she and my dad were married, but she decided to leave her job at the railroad. Nobody does that. To be a
Right.
stay-at-home mom. And so when
Mm.
things didn't work out, here she was, a stay-at-home mom, and was actually on public assistance. So when people talk about breaking the cycles,
Mm.
it's like we both, as I think about, we both used it for what it was designed for, right?
Yes.
And so my mother too went to Community College of Philadelphia. She got an associate in applied science so that she could make a better life for us,
Oh my God.
and never missed a beat. So when I think about what she instilled in me, that's
Yes.
where I got it from. My dad too, he added a little bit because he came in later in life. Um, but yeah, so I think that's a really important part of the
That's
story
very
to know.
important. And we'll answer the
Yeah,
15 and 15, but I want to just really, I want that I want to level set that. Public assistance is for a purpose. It's not for forever. It is for the moment in time that you require it, right? Like you said, 8 years helping you as you were moving through life, navigating, creating a life for you and your son as well, right? Like creating the next step. You utilized it for what it was for.
right,
Exactly. And unfortunately, and this is no, it's not about anybody on public assistance, because if you need it, use it. That's what we work for. We pay taxes into it, all those things. But unfortunately, we have those abusing it, and those that really need it are penalized as a result of that. So I'm very thank you for feeling compelled and for sharing that part, and that transparency in sharing that part of your journey with us, because that is a part of the journey. That is a part of who you are. And that's exactly what public assistance was designed for. So thank you for that. Yeah.
well,
All
thank
right.
you for creating a safe space to
Yeah, my
I
pleasure. My
felt comfortable
pleasure.
sharing that. So the
Yeah.
15 and 15. So you talk about mentorship.
Hmm.
And so when I started on this journey, and what I found is that I knew my craft, but I didn't know business. Now, I've
Ooh.
always, throughout my journey, throughout life, I had an uncle who owned a store. Back home, we called them variety stores. Here, they call them liquor stores. Really? Candy stores. And so
Yes,
I've always
candy
like
stores.
sold erasers, sold candy. I always sold something. Later on, I sold jewelry. I was always selling something. So that
Uh-huh.
entrepreneur spirit has always been with me. I just never
Mm.
thought I'd be selling engineering services, right?
Yes.
Um, and so I've always, when I started down this road, I talked to people. I asked
Mhm.
questions. I did a
Mhm.
lot of networking because I wanted to learn. I showed up everywhere.
Yes.
And so I had a mentor who once said to me, I just told you in 15 minutes what it took me 15 years to learn. And he would, that stuck with me, right? So I said, that's one of the chapters in the book,
Yes.
because we have experiences that we can share with others. And it's not about the fear of them taking over the business or doing what I do. Now, there are things you might not share, but there are things that you can share so that a person doesn't have to experience what you experienced, right?
Yes.
Some
Love
of the
it.
hardships, some of the challenges, and some of the struggles. Now, sometimes they're going to go and do it anyway, because I've done that, right? He may have shared something with me, but it was really valuable. And the fact that he took the time out of his day or time out of
Mm.
his schedule or thought enough of me to share these nuggets, because this is someone that a lot of people want to get close to,
Right.
right?
Right.
People say, well, he doesn't really help people. I'm like, he's helped me time and time
Yeah.
again. And so
Consistently. Yes.
so
Yes.
that's a nugget that's definitely stuck with me.
Mm. And I love that, because here's the thing, and I want to, because I am a big community builder. You're talking about community, right? Community doesn't have to be a large thing. It could be one person at a time that is in your community that brings a level of value to you. And this is why you always hear me talking about your circle. Your circle matters, who you surround yourself with, right? Are they edifying you? Are they pouring into you? Are they holding you accountable, right? Because the one thing that I know for sure, if we think about our parents, right? We think about people who love us. Love corrects. Those of us that are parents or aunts, uncles, we correct our nieces, our nephews, our grandchildren, all we correct them because we love them. And so love corrects. And so if you think, if you just surround yourself with people who let you do any old thing willy-nilly, don't hold you accountable, you're in the wrong circle.
Right.
You're in the wrong circle. And so, Robin, I love that 15 and 15 because you even said this. Many people want a part of him, but he saw in you, he knew you were good soil. He knew that there's something about Robin Thorne that I am going to pour into this one, this vessel. I am going to, and as you said, you didn't just say he did it once. It's consistent, right? You can reach out to him. You can garner wisdom, insight, knowledge from him. And what I know is you pay that forward too. And you pay that forward with your nonprofit. Can you talk a little bit about your nonprofit with us, please? I think it's the coolest name ever. So please share with us.
Oh, of course, because I am Robin Thorne, your chief demo chick. Break down barriers to
Hey.
build hopes, dreams, and passions. Yes, so the nonprofit is DemoChicks, and I started it back in 2019 after my company CTI demolished the federal prison.
Yes.
And that was really exciting. Mentorship again, that was our first federal contract.
Yes.
And it was because we were in the 8A program and I had a mentor, right? Not that we weren't capable because we hadn't demolished 122 structures prior to that, but he had done that. And so we were in a mentoring relationship and we were able to demolish that prison. I'm happy to say that since then, CTI has primed over 30 plus federal government contracts.
Wow, over 30,
30.
government.
Yes.
Y'all hear that? Over 30. And she said they prime. So they're the prime. They're not the sub. They're the prime. But her being the prime allows her to open doors to others who are qualified to come in as subcontractors too. Come on, Robin. Oh, I love that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Quantify it, girl.
And so DemoChicks, after demolishing the federal prison, well, actually working out in the field and watching all this activity, and me as a chemical engineer, and then having the water truck operator, the general labor, like all these different roles. And I thought, who knows about the demolition industry? Because when I talk to people about demo, they think of implosions, which we've never done, the wrecking ball, which is our logo, which have never done that. We use excavators. And so I thought more people need to know about this industry. And so I was going to actually start a demolition organization. I said, well, I'm an engineer. So we have STEM, we have ACE, which is architecture, construction, and engineering. I said, well, how about just non-traditional careers? We'll introduce girls to non-traditional careers so that they know the possibilities, whether they decide to pursue it or not, they know the possibilities. And it started with the logo. My nephew created the logo and I was sharing it with people on my phone. Yes. And everyone was excited, from teachers to women in the industry to men who would mentor women in the industry. Everyone was excited about it. And I said, well, let me get some cards made. And so people ask me about my beginning, like CTI and DemoChicks. And I'd say both were God inspired, because I didn't start with the plan, a business plan. All those things came later, but it worked out. So I was being led. And so that's how DemoChicks began. And what was important to me is that there be hands-on workshops, not just talking to girls, but getting them to experience it. And so we did our first workshop in Philadelphia in December of 2019, chemical engineering workshop, of course. And so we started this process, and then COVID hit.
Boom.
So we went online because my sister it was all set up, right? My sister had previously tutored online like 10 years ago in Atlanta. So she was already set up for that. And so we went online and we had the hands-on experiments. We had supplies that parents could buy from the store, right? So for architectures, toothpicks and marshmallows; for chemical engineering, fizzy lemonade. So, and we had engagement. It was so exciting. And fast forward to now, 6 years later, we've given out over $37,000 in scholarships.
Wow.
We've honored 24 women. And matter of fact, this year we had our event on August 14th. And Willie A. Thomas was my mentor who introduced me to demolition, and he passed away 2 years ago. And so our 6th anniversary, we actually honored someone. We honored him by presenting an award in his name
Wow.
to a male who happened to be our mentor. So if anybody's familiar now, they know that tough love person. But
Love it.
yeah, so that's where we are. So with DemoChicks, it's just pretty amazing. And in the beginning, another thing that I'd like to share is that start where you are. Like if there's a mission. So for instance, with DemoChicks, when we had our initial kickoff, we gave $500 scholarships to 5 young ladies.
Okay.
Because I said we're gonna do the work until we
Yeah.
can. We're gonna do it at the level we can do it until we can do more.
Yeah.
And so the next year we gave 1,000. The next year it was 1,500 to each. And some organizations will give out 25,000 in
Yeah.
one event. We weren't able to do that, but what were we able to do? We were able to do 2,500. And so
Yeah.
I encourage people to do what you can at the level that you can do it until you can do more.
Oh, I love that, Robin. That is great wisdom as we're wrapping here. And I just want for everyone to hear all of this. This has been a process. Robin has listened. She started where she was. She's moves very strategically, meticulously. I didn't hear her saying I was looking to my left and my right to see what they were doing. No, she's moving how she was called and what she's created and how it's expanded because she stayed in her lane. And like, hey, yeah, great. I love that some people can give 25, 50, 75. What I love that, right? But you're giving where, and it's still meeting a need. People are still they're getting scholarships for school. They're being introduced to non-traditional careers. I'm a woman in STEM, so you know I love everything about this. And then our young girls, right, are seeing, oh, I can do science, I can do technology, I can do engineering and math, I can do all of that. And then there's STEAM too, right? There's STEAM too, the art, but we are more focused on STEM. And it's just, and I love that our young girls are realizing there's other ways, demolition, right? Things that they can move into that we don't always hear about. And it's so important for someone to simply open the door to possibility. And Robin, you are a possibility woman. That's who I see you as. You are a possibility woman. You are a woman who really allows people to see other opportunities. It doesn't have to be this traditional, I'm going to be a doctor, a lawyer, it doesn't have to be that. I'm going to be a school teacher. All those are phenomenal professions, which are very needed, but there's a lot of other professions that aren't spoken of that are needed too. So, with that, my beautiful friend Robin, our chemical engineer, our founder of CTI Environmental, what would you like to leave the listeners with? What nugget of wisdom, what insight, what do you feel compelled to leave our listeners with as we end today?
I would like to leave our listeners, with
Yes.
4 nuggets,
Ooh.
and they're the 4 chapters of my book.
Mm.
And these are principles
Okay.
that I feel have led to my success. The
Mm.
one, 15 and 15 is one.
Okay.
Having someone who's willing to sit down with you and trust you and think, you're worth their time,
Mm.
because you're actually going to take take the advice and run with it.
Yeah.
I encourage you all to be coachable, right?
Mm.
Because you don't have all the answers, because if you had all the answers, you wouldn't be asking the question.
Right. Right.
Have faith,
Number 3.
have faith, because if you so God has so much in store for you, right?
Mm.
And
Mm.
so believe in what you can't see, like believe in the possibilities,
Yeah.
because without faith, I think, people just settle, you know,
Yes.
for the crumbs. You just got to believe beyond what you can see.
Thank
And
you.
then the last thing is what I fell in love with was freedom over security. I
Mm.
shared how, when I lost my job, I lost revenue. I lost income, and I
Yeah.
found out that unemployment capped out at 1,800 a month. However, I had a
Mhm.
I had a desire to. I believed I would be successful. And so
Yes.
I kept pushing. And
Yes.
so I became, like I talked about the freedom over security, even what you led with,
Yeah.
Alicia, being able to spend the time with my mom.
Yes.
So, you know, so being, you have to decide what's important to you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I know I have friends who have said, girl, I could never start a job because I like shoes too much,
Yes. Uh-huh.
and that's fine, right? Um,
Exactly.
so, just decide for yourself where you'd like to be and what's important and what you're willing to sacrifice or not. So those are the four nuggets
Those are
I'd like to
powerful
leave you with.
nuggets. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today, Robin. Thank you for all of you who are watching us live or on the replay. Go back, listen, and take some notes and write those four wisdom nuggets down here at the end too, because very powerful. And write some, you know, generate some questions for yourself. Robin has dropped nuggets for you, like know what you want. So what do you want? Generate some questions for yourself that challenge you and stretch you to move into your next level as well. So, with that, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Robin. I deeply adore, love you, and appreciate you for spending time with us today. And until next time, listeners, thank you for joining us on the Quintessence of Leadership.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Do you have some thoughts, comments, questions as well? Drop them below. I'd love to hear them and actually respond to you as well. Don't forget to hit that little bell that you see because it'll notify you next time any new opportunities are posted to this channel. So, thank you again. And until next time, remember, continue to build trust to transform, whether it's transforming your community, your home, your business, your workplace, your voice is required. Looking forward to seeing you then. Bye.